Right now, something is living inside roughly 1/3 of every human being on Earth. It has no brain, no nervous system, it is a single cell, and it may be changing how you think. The organism is called Toxoplasma gondii. It is smaller than a red blood cell, and for most of its life, it needs to get from a rat into a cat. That's it. That's the entire mission. But to do that, it does something extraordinary. It rewires a rat's brain. A rat infected with Toxoplasma loses its fear of cats. Not partially, completely. A smell that would normally trigger a sprint triggers something closer to attraction. The rat walks toward the predator. The cat eats the rat. The parasite completes its journey. Researchers at Stanford University studied this in 2011 and found the parasite wasn't just suppressing fear, it was rerouting neural signals. The part of the rat's brain that processes cat odor, hardwired over millions of years to scream danger, was instead lighting up like a reward. The parasite had rewritten instinct itself. So here is the question no one wants to ask. If it does that to a rat, what is it doing to us? Toxoplasma reaches humans through undercooked meat, unwashed vegetables, or contact with infected cat feces. Once inside, it forms microscopic cysts in the brain. These cysts are permanent. The immune system cannot clear them. They sit there, quiet, for the rest of your life. For decades, scientists called this latent infection. They assumed it was dormant, harmless, a passenger with no effect on the host. They were wrong. In 1994, Czech evolutionary biologist Jaroslav Flegr began publishing research that would take 20 years to be taken seriously. He had noticed something strange in his own behavior, a recklessness, a calm in situations that should have alarmed him. He tested himself. He was infected. Then he tested everyone else. Flegr found that Toxoplasma-infected men showed measurable drops in reaction time. They were involved in traffic accidents at significantly higher rates. Infected women, by contrast, showed higher sociability scores and were rated more attractive by independent observers, a pattern that made no biological sense unless the parasite was doing something deliberate. His work was ignored, then mocked, then quietly replicated. A 2015 meta-analysis covering over 4,000 participants confirmed the link between Toxoplasma infection and elevated risk-taking behavior. A 2019 study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society found infected individuals were 1.7 times more likely to start their own business. Read that again. A parasite that needs risk-taking behavior to complete its life cycle may be nudging its human hosts toward risk. The mechanism appears to involve dopamine. Toxoplasma encodes an enzyme called tyrosine hydroxylase, the same enzyme humans use to produce dopamine. Inside an infected brain, the parasite may be elevating dopamine in targeted regions. Not enough to notice, just enough to shift the threshold between caution and action. And here is where it stops being a curiosity about individual behavior. Because Toxoplasma infection rates are not evenly distributed around the world. In France and Brazil, infection rates exceed 60% of the population. In the United States and United Kingdom, they hover near 20. South Korea sits below 10. Flegr spent years mapping these numbers against cultural data. Nations with higher infection rates showed measurably higher scores on what psychologists call uncertainty avoidance, a tendency toward rules, order, and resistance to ambiguity. Whether that correlation is causal or coincidental, researchers still debate. But the question has been asked, and it will not go away. We have built entire theories of history around the idea that humans choose their civilizations. That culture is the product of ideas, geography, agriculture, trade. What if some of it, not all, not most, but some, is the product of a parasite managing its own survival? Toxoplasma does not want to change civilization. It does not want anything. It is a single cell running a program written by millions of years of pressure. But that program runs inside 1/3 of all living humans, silently adjusting the chemistry of the organ those humans use to make every decision they believe is their own. The parasite doesn't control you. It just tilts the table. And the terrifying thing is, you would never feel it.